You turn off the light, the room goes dark, your bedroom door is closed, the house is locked, and still some small part of you listens. You tell yourself it's nothing. A creak in the floorboards, a branch against the window. Your heart rate says otherwise. It ticks up, just slightly, just enough for you to notice. Why does your body do this? You are safe. You know you are safe. But the real answer is far stranger than a squeaky house. Your fear of the dark is not a glitch. It is not something you outgrew, but never fully shed. It is a memory, not a memory of anything you experienced. A memory carried in your nervous system from a world you never saw. Passed down from ancestors who lived and died by how seriously they took the night. For most of human history, darkness was not empty, it was full. Lions hunted at night. Leopards climbed into trees above sleeping camps. Hyenas circled the edges of firelight, waiting. Your ancestors did not fear the dark because they were superstitious. They feared it because the statistics demanded it. Consider what a night on the African savanna actually meant 400,000 years ago. No walls, no locks, no streetlights. Just a small band of humans, a fire if they were lucky, and the sounds of a world that did not care whether they survived until morning. The ones who slept soundly through every rustle in the grass did not get the chance to pass on that trait. The ones who startled, who listened, who felt that prickle of unease at an unfamiliar sound, they were the ones who lived long enough to have children. And their children inherited the same jumpy nervous system. Generation after generation, the anxious ones won. This is where the psychologist Randolph Nessay's idea becomes useful. He calls it the smoke detector principle. A smoke detector that only sounds when there is a fire seems efficient. But it is actually terrible design. If it waits for certainty, one missed fire can kill you. So a good smoke detector sounds constantly. For burnt toast, for steam, for nothing at all, because the cost of a false alarm is annoyance, but the cost of a missed real threat is death. Your anxiety works the same way. It would rather make you flinch at a shadow 1,000 times than miss the one shadow that was actually a predator. That trade-off, false alarms in exchange for survival, is written into you. It is why an empty dark room can still make your pulse rise even when your rational mind knows better. But fear was only half of the story. The other half was what your ancestors did about it. They built fire. Fire changed everything about how humans experience night. The anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that the control of fire may be one of the most transformative events in human evolution. Not just because it let us cook food and absorb more calories, but because it extended the day. For the first time, there were hours after sunset that were not simply hours of hiding. There was light, there was warmth, there was a reason to stay awake together instead of separating into silence. And once there was firelight, something unexpected happened. People started talking differently. The anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years living among the Juhwanzi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last remaining societies to still gather around fire, each night the way humans likely did for millennia. She recorded their conversations, both in daylight and after dark, and found something striking. Daytime talk was practical. Arguments about resources, complaints, logistics, economics of the group. But firelight talk was different. It turned towards stories, myths, songs, talk of distant relatives, of the dead, of the world beyond the visible camp. Night, and the fear that came with it, did not just make people huddle closer for warmth. It changed what they were willing to say to each other. Why would fear produce storytelling? Think about what a story does. It rehearses danger without the cost of experiencing it. A story about a leopard that took a careless hunter is not just entertainment around the fire. It is a warning, wrapped in narrative, passed to children who will one day stand watch themselves. Wiesner's research suggests that firelit hours became a kind of nightly classroom, one built not on lectures, but on shared fear translated into meaning. The campfire story is, in a very real sense, one of the oldest survival tools your species ever built. This also explains something else about you. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to feel emotionally close to someone at night, in low light, than in the flat brightness of midday? Therapists have long noticed that people open up more easily in dim rooms than in bright ones. Some researchers connect this directly to that ancient firelight pattern. Darkness narrowed the world down to the faces you could see by flame. It made the group feel smaller, closer, more like family, because in a very literal sense, your survival did depend on those specific people staying near you until sunrise. So the night was two things at once: a genuine, statistically justified threat, and a stage for the only technology your ancestors had to manage that threat together, which was closeness itself. Now think about what a modern night actually contains. There are no lions outside your window. There is no hyena testing the edge of the firelight. And yet, the wiring remains. Your brain still treats an unfamiliar sound in the dark as a potential emergency first and a floorboard second. This is not weakness, it is inheritance. You are running ancient software on a modern operating system, and the software has not caught up to the fact that the predators are mostly gone. But here is the part that should make you feel less alone in your 2 a.m. unease. Even your instinct to check your phone, to want a voice, a text, a presence, some proof that you are not the only one awake, is the same instinct that once sent someone crawling closer to the fire. You are not broken for wanting company in the dark. You are behaving exactly the way 400,000 years of selection built you to behave. There is a reason horror movies are more frightening at night, even watched from the safety of your own home. There is a reason children insist on nightlights, and adults quietly leave one on too, even when they will not admit it. There is a reason isolation feels sharper after dark than during the day, and loneliness at 3 a.m. can feel unbearable in a way it never does at 3 p.m. None of this is irrational. It is your nervous system running the oldest program it has, the one built for a world where being alone at night was often a death sentence. Does that mean you are stuck being afraid forever? Not exactly. Understanding where the fear comes from does not erase it, but it does reframe it. The unease you feel is not evidence that something is wrong with you tonight. It is evidence that something worked for hundreds of thousands of years in your ancestors and got passed down intact. So the next time the room goes dark and your pulse creeps up for no obvious reason, you do not have to fight it as if it were a malfunction. You can recognize it for what it actually is: a small, ancient alarm system still faithfully doing its job long after the lions are gone. And maybe, if you can, you reach for the same solution your ancestors did. Not a lock, not a light switch, a voice, a story, someone else, awake with you in the dark. You turn off the light, the room goes dark, and somewhere underneath your calm, rational mind, 400,000 years of ancestors are still listening with you.